Hoy nuestra lección es el consumo de medios, tiempo de pantalla y redes sociales. So we're talking about media consumption, screen time, social media, etc. This is probably our last lesson in this anticipatory guidance series, unless you send me a bunch of comments or emails about another topic within the anticipatory guidance theme. So anyway, let's jump right in with some vocabulario relevante. Vocabulario relevante. Este vocabulario is organized maybe just a little bit topically for some of it, but más o menos it's alphabetical order. So, primero tenemos acoso, bullying. Acoso is harassment, so you could talk about acoso sexual, which of course isn't this, but bullying, just pronounced in a Spanish accent, is also common. So acoso or bullying works for that. Autoestima, self-esteem. Bajar videos, so downloading videos. Comportamiento o conducta, so behavior, both of these are behavior. Comportamiento agresivo or conducta agresiva. Comportamiento de riesgo, risky behavior. Comportamiento or conducta peligroso or peligrosa, dangerous behavior. Contenido sexual, so sexual content. Drogas, drugs. Estar expuesto or exponerse a, to be exposed to or to expose yourself to. Imagen corporal, so body image, okay? Influencia, influence. Mensajes de texto, text messages. Obesidad, obesity. Y redes sociales, so social media, redes sociales. Sexo, sex. Sexting or material sexualmente explícito, so sexually explicit material. Tiempo de pantalla or tiempo frente a pantalla. Incluye televisión, tablets, computadora, teléfono, etc. And we also have some trastornos that sometimes could come up in this topic. So trastornos alimenticios, so eating disorders. Trastornos alimentarios, another word for another adjective for eating. Alimenticios, alimentarios. Trastorno de déficit de atención e hiperactividad, or con hiperactividad as well. Violencia. Okay, so speaking of violencia, we're going to take a handful of topics and just talk about how media contributes to them. And our first one is violence, so violencia. La violencia es muy común en programas de televisión y en películas. So violence is very common in TV programs and movies. No necesariamente causa violencia en niños, pero sí tiene una influencia. It doesn't necessarily cause violence, but it does have an influence. Por ejemplo, ver violencia, watching violence, normaliza la violencia. So it normalizes violence. Observar, just another word, you could use ver. Observar violencia desensibiliza a una persona a la violencia. So observing violence desensitizes someone to violence. Muchos argumentos. Now, argumentos here are plots. So when you talk about books or movies or whatever, el argumento is the plot. So muchos argumentos de programas justifican la violencia. So many plot lines justify violence. El acoso o bullying en mensajes de texto y en redes sociales también es común y dañino. So, bullying is, I guess, a form of violence también, so we'll fit it into this categoría. Bien? Okay, so that's violencia as it relates to media use. El sexo. Okay, programas de tele para adolescentes incluyen mucho contenido or muchos mensajes sexual or sexuales. If we're going with mensajes, it'd be sexuales, ¿verdad? El problema es que es poco común, it's rare, or es raro que incluyan información sobre los riesgos y responsabilidades de actividad sexual. And so, es poco común que incluyan información sobre los riesgos, the risks, y responsabilidades, the responsibilities of sexual activity. Los estudios, the studies, los estudios suggest que estar expuesto, being exposed to contenido sexual, resulta en actividad sexual más temprana. So earlier, you might talk about earlier onset, or so actividad sexual más temprana, earlier sexual activity. Hasta 20% de los adolescentes han participado en sexting, es decir, mensajes de texto con material sexualmente explícito. So, hasta up to 20% of adolescents, teens, have participated in sexting or mensajes de texto con material sexualmente explícito. In este caso, just like bullying, the word sexting has been borrowed from English and is fine in Spanish. Entonces, sexting. Bien. Okay, moving on to drogas. Drogas. Miles de millones, es decir, that's the traditional way to say billions, but even now in español, billones is kind of taking on popularity. Billones de dólares se gastan cada año, are spent each year para promocionar, to promote or advertise, el uso de alcohol y tabaco en los Estados Unidos. Los estudios demuestran, so studies show, que esta publicidad, that this advertising or publicity, influye a los adolescentes. So studies show that this advertising influences kids, básicamente. Los estudios también concluyen que observar el uso de tabaco, so observar, watching, observing el uso de tabaco y el consumo de alcohol en programas o películas es un factor importante en iniciar su uso entre jóvenes. And so what we're saying here is that the studies also show that observing the use and consumption in programs and movies is an important factor in starting the use of either alcohol or tobacco amongst kids. Bien, moving on to obesidad. Tiempo frente a la pantalla, so time, screen time, tiempo frente a la pantalla expone a los jóvenes a publicidad para comida chatarra. And so if you ever need to talk about junk food, so screen time exposes adolescents, so we're interchanging jóvenes with adolescentes. Adolescentes, jóvenes, a publicidad para comida chatarra, junk food, comida chatarra. Aumenta la cantidad de meriendas no saludables, so it also increases the amount of unhealthy snacks. And quita tiempo, takes time away, quita tiempo de actividades más activas, takes time away from more active activities. And interfiere con costumbres del sueño saludables. Okay, so interferes with healthy sleep habits también. All right, moving on to trastornos alimenticios or alimentarios. Trastornos alimenticios, redes sociales, social media. Películas y programas de televisión, so movies and TV programs, muchas veces establecen una expectativa no realista. So they establish an unrealistic expectation sobre el cuerpo, about the body. Especialmente en mujeres, especially in women. See? And it's fine to say mujeres with talking about teen girls, no hay problema. Una autoimagen no saludable puede resultar en trastornos alimenticios tales como, so an unhealthy self-image can result in eating disorders such as bulimia, anorexia, and atracones, or comer excesivamente. And so if you were to talk about binge eating, you could use the word atracones. If that doesn't connect with your the person you're speaking to, then you can just talk about comer excesivamente. Okay? Otras preocupaciones sobre los medios. Tiempo frente a la pantalla también se asocia con, so screen time is also associated with, el trastorno de déficit de atención, so ADD, y el trastorno de déficit de atención con hiperactividad, so attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. y peor rendimiento or peor desempeño académico. So lower academic or school performance, ¿verdad? And atrasos, so delays, atrasos en el habla en bebés menores de 2 años. So delays, delayed speech in babies under 2 years old. Okay, so dos preguntas that you might lead with to open a discussion about media use with your patients. Dos preguntas. Primero, ¿cuánto tiempo por día frente a una pantalla pasa su hijo o hija? So how much screen time per day does your child spend, básicamente? And ¿hay tele o internet en el cuarto de su hijo o hija? Is there a television connection or internet in your child's bedroom? Okay. Now some consejos, some simple consejos. Now estos consejos that I'm going to give you, we're going to put them in 2 formats. First of all, the actual usted command, and then secondly, a workaround, a sort of keep it simple workaround for you if you're not there yet with your grammar foundation. Okay? So first of all, limite el tiempo de pantalla para entretenimiento or diversión. So your entertainment screen time, menos de 2 horas por día. So limit your screen time for entertainment to less than 2 hours a day. Now the workaround, es mejor limitar. It's better to limit. Es mejor limitar el tiempo de pantalla and keep going, ¿verdad? Evite tiempo de pantalla para todos los bebés menores de 2 años. So avoid screen time for all babies under 2 years old. Workaround, es importante evitar. Okay, so notice what's nice about this and what makes it a more basic structure is that you don't have to conjugate your verb into the command tense. You've got just es importante evitar. Okay, good way to keep it simple. Elija or seleccione, choose, con cuidado los problemas que permite sus hijos ver. So choose carefully the programs that you allow your kid to see. Okay? Es buena idea elegir con cuidado. Okay? You could substitute that. Mire los programas con sus hijos or con sus adolescentes y converse sobre los temas presentados. So watch programs with your kids and talk about the themes or topics that come up. Es provechoso mirar. So it's helpful to watch, right? Or it's beneficial to watch. Okay? Bien. Continuando con más consejos para padres. No deje que sus hijos pequeños y preadolescentes vean programas clasificados R o PG-13. Okay? So don't let your kids watch programs. Don't let your young kids or your preteens, preadolescentes, preteens, don't let them watch rated R or PG-13 shows. Okay? Es importante no dejar is a good workaround. Sea buen ejemplo del consumo de medios y tiempo de pantalla. So be a good example about media consumption and screen time. Okay? Es un poderoso modelo si usted es. It's a powerful example if you are a good example, ¿verdad? Enfatice actividades más activas para entretenimiento. So emphasize more active activities for diversion or for entertainment. Okay? Es buena idea enfatizar. No permita el uso de pantallas en los cuartos. Don't allow screen time in bedrooms. Es muy importante no permitir. It's important to not allow. Evita el uso de pantallas como niñero. So avoid the use of screens and media as a babysitter. Okay? Es buena idea, or es buena práctica evitar. It's a good practice to avoid el uso de pantallas como niñero. Okay? No vea programas de tele durante comidas familiares. Don't watch TV programs during family meals. Es mejor no ver programas de tele durante comidas familiares. Okay, so that's what I have for you today, but you've got some tarea to work on. And our tarea is always to review the notes and the vocab and get used to that vocabulario so you can use it as needed. Identify any additional points and topics to discuss with patients. And if you need help, put some comments here and I'll be glad to help you with additional topics. Remember to keep it simple. So half of those phrases, well, for all of those phrases there in that advice, 2 screens of advice, I gave you some easy ways to talk around the use of the command form. And ask for help. Ask for help in the comments below. I'd be glad to help you with anything more specific to what you talk about with pacientes. And go ahead and give it a try with your pacientes. Well, hey, gracias por aprender español conmigo hoy. Juntos, our goal is to improve communities, right, through the use of Spanish. So, para más español, head over to the website, commongroundinternational.com. And if you'd like to take a quick, free medical Spanish vocabulary exam, and you can just sign up for a free account and take as many free exams as you would like, head over to certifiedspanish.com. Muchas gracias. See you next week.